de Bauman, que involucra representación de agencias de financiación a nivel global para que conjuntamente los miembros del foro proponen temas que son de alta prioridad, como esta convocatoria de bosques tropicales, lo co-desarrollan no solamente con los financiadores, pero también con actores de las comunidades y de los gobiernos y de la academia, digamos, de la ciencia, para asegurar que las convocatorias realmente responden a las prioridades más urgentes. Y después se lanzan lo que se llama las acciones colaborativas de investigación, en inglés por sus siglos CRAs. Estos CRAs son las convocatorias de financiamiento multilaterales que el Belmont coordina. La ventaja del Belmont es que hay una sola plataforma para poder enviar las propuestas. Los financiadores básicamente se han concordado de un proceso coordinado de enviar las propuestas y de revisión, en el cual participan revisores que son de todas las diferentes agencias que participan en tal acción colaborativa de investigación. Entonces, eso facilita que los grupos de investigación pueden construir sus consorcios, postular para los fondos y recibir una mayor cantidad de financiamiento gracias a esas diferentes fuentes de financiamiento, que ahorita voy a explicar un poco más. Siguiente lámina. Y si tienen preguntas, por favor, pueden ir agregando en el chat sus preguntas y al final vamos a ir respondiendo. Para cada proyecto de Belmont hay la regla de 3, 3, 3 y 3. En cada consorcio tiene que incluir los investigadores o miembros del equipo que son de 3 diferentes tipos. Investigadores de las ciencias naturales, de ciencias biofísicas, investigadores de las ciencias sociales y investigadores o actores no académicos, por ejemplo, actores de la sociedad civil, de los gobiernos, del sector privado. Entonces, siempre necesitamos esta mezcla de esos 3 perfiles de actores trabajando conjuntamente en el proyecto. También necesitamos representación de 3 países. Eso no significa la nacionalidad del investigador, sino donde está basada la institución que va a recibir y ejecutar ciertas actividades del proyecto. Pero eso hay que aclarar y revisar en los anexos de cada financiador. El tercer regla de 3 es que tiene que haber 3 financiadores. Entonces, es como un rompecabezas ir armando este consorcio y por eso toma tiempo de armar los consorcios. Yo recomiendo que comiencen lo más antes posible, de ir juntando y viendo quiénes pueden participar, de qué países y qué financiadores. Y para eso hay que leer detalladamente los anexos que los financiadores han subido a la página web de Belmont. Y con nosotros hoy en día tenemos varios de los financiadores que van a ir explicando sobre sus anexos y los criterios para poder postular y acceder a su financiamiento. Siguiente. Aquí pueden ver que el Foro de Belmont tiene miembros en todas partes del mundo. Son más de 32 miembros que representan más de 55 países, pero además en las convocatorias participan otras organizaciones que no necesariamente dan recursos financieros, pero dan otro tipo de recursos, como accesos a laboratorios, accesos a datos, capacitaciones. En cada convocatoria siempre participan actores adicionales o agencias adicionales, no solamente las agencias de financiación. Y esas agencias pueden apoyar al equipo, al consorcio, para asegurar que tengan éxito en la implementación de su proyecto. Siguiente. Con eso voy a pasar la palabra al director científico del IAI, el doctor Omar López. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Ana. Mi nombre es Omar López, yo soy el director de ciencia del IAI y como punto seguido voy a hablarles un poquito sobre las 10 acciones urgentes que envuelven esta convocatoria. Siguiente. Como primer punto tenemos que existe una necesidad de generar más evidencia para apoyar acciones que contribuyan a entender o cómo detener y minimizar la deforestación. Esto puede ser entendiendo un poco sobre cómo disminuir la expansión de la frontera agrícola o cómo minimizar y detener los megaproyectos que no tienen valor agregado apoyar y entender la producción sostenible, el desarrollo de sistemas de control y estrategias para poder regenerar las tierras degradadas en nuestros bosques tropicales y hacerlo con una mayor participación y mejores prácticas. Siguiente. Otra de estas acciones urgentes está la necesidad de generar evidencia para construir políticas públicas que incluyan subsidios e incentivos que atraigan al sector privado y al sector público a mantener o a enaltecer los sistemas, los servicios ecosistémicos. Esto incluye, por ejemplo, acciones que promuevan la bioeconomía, el emprendedurismo, de innovaciones lideradas por poblaciones locales, siempre y cuando se mantenga un uso justo y equitativo de la implementación de esas acciones, por ejemplo, en los mercados de carbonos o en las cadenas de mercados que se generen. Siguiente. Importante también que generemos y avancemos en el entendimiento del funcionamiento de nuestros ecosistemas desde el punto de vista ya sea ecofisiológico, por ejemplo, información y conocimiento sobre cómo se dan los procesos de producción de la biomasa y de ese almacenamiento de esa biomasa, de los procesos biogeoquímicos, de cómo la gente se relaciona con los bosques y las interconexiones que existen entre esta relación y que tienen como resultado, por ejemplo, o hay una interfase de generación de emisiones de gases, los ciclos del agua, la biodiversidad. La idea es, pues, reconocer las maneras en cómo reducir los impactos los impactos en los servicios ecosistémicos y sus funciones también a través de la valoración de desastres, ¿no? Del riesgo de desastres y la reducción. Puede ser también a través de la implementación de sistemas de alerta temprana, estrategias de adaptación, control de vectores, identificar también fuentes de contaminación, etcétera. Siguiente. Otra acción urgente es el poder entender cómo el crimen organizado y actividades ilegales están acelerando el proceso de deforestación o de la minería ilegal y sus consecuencias en los servicios ecosistémicos. También el tráfico ilegal, ya sea de plantas, animales o sustancias, y también de personas puedan estar afectando el ecosistema del bosque tropical. Es importante mapear los actores y la articulación de estos actores, ya sea a nivel estatal, transnacional, ¿verdad? O de municipios o de gobiernos locales para poder identificar estas actividades. Siguientes. Importante es la caracterización y el análisis de la tenencia de la tierra y cómo esto es forma parte de esta mala planificación urbana y rural también, ¿no? Como el desarrollo de nuevas infraestructuras como carreteras, eh, infraestructura o servicios eléctricos como sean, por ejemplo, eh, eh, represas, etcétera, las actividades mineras y la extracción de materia natural pueden verse relacionados con los conflictos y minimizar o disminuir el desarrollo sustentable y el desarrollo justo del desarrollo territorial eh, para incrementar la conectividad de nuestros ecosistemas. Hay un micrófono abierto. Siguiente. Necesitamos urgentemente promover la incorporación o la inclusión del conocimiento y las prácticas ancestrales de nuestros pueblos indígenas y de nuestras comunidades locales. Hay que traerlos al diálogo para incluir sus conocimientos y sus acervos en la resolución de los problemas de nuestra sociedad, de nuestros problemas ambientales. Es importante investigar, por ejemplo, los diferentes modelos de gobernanza local y cuáles son las mejores prácticas para buscar el reconocimiento y la protección de nuestros pueblos y nuestros territorios indígenas y otras comunidades locales. Siguiente. También una de nuestras acciones urgentes es poder generar investigación, data, evidencia que apoye acciones para disminuir la vulnerabilidad de estas poblaciones locales, principalmente relacionadas con los servicios esenciales como son la seguridad alimentaria, como es la salud, la educación, la energía y los servicios de comunicación. La investigación debe enfatizarse en la generación de datos y el reconocimiento de grupos menos representados o subrepresentados, como son las mujeres, las minorías étnicas y otros, y los adultos mayores, por ejemplo, y la gente joven y niños. Siguiente. Importante también poder entender la relación a diferentes escalas, cómo se relacionan de local a global, las conexiones que hay entre diferentes bosques tropicales a través del mundo, incluyendo sistemas que están más allá de los bordes de los de los bordes tropicales, o sea, de los límites de los bosques tropicales, como es, por ejemplo, los drivers que hay para la pérdida de biodiversidad y cuáles son las implicaciones del cambio climático en nuestros bosques tropicales y en esa biodiversidad, los vínculos existentes entre esos drivers por ejemplo, deforestación, como políticas que están más allá de los bosques tropicales están influenciando en nuestra deforestación de los bosques tropicales y cuáles serían las consecuencias de los tipping points, estos modelos de ejercicios que podría pasar con los bosques más allá de alcanzar estas temperaturas tope, ¿verdad? Y también cuáles serían la conectividad de los bosques a gran escala entre diferentes biomas y diferentes tipos de bosques, y cómo es la evolución de la función y la estructura de nuestros bosques, cómo podría afectar la evolución de estos bosques y su estructura a largo plazo. Siguiente. También es necesario, un momento, también es necesario generar evidencia eh, en el mapeo del landscape de nuestros bosques tropicales en términos de qué prácticas pueden ser replicadas, ¿verdad? De qué tipo a nivel de niveles de agencia pueden fortalecerse. eh, Tratando de mejorar el nivel de compartir esos avances tecnológicos e investigación, el desarrollo de esas instituciones entre diferentes regiones. Eso creo que es muy importante para mejorar nuestra cooperación en cómo se maneja ese landscape institucional que tiene que ver con los bosques tropicales. Siguiente. También es importante que los datos y toda la información que se genera desde el conocimiento para los bosques tropicales sea encontrable, sea accesible, sea interoperable y sea reusable. El principio de FAIR, ¿verdad? Estos sistemas tenemos que promover la generación y desarrollar sistemas interoperables con el apoyo de la inteligencia artificial y poder relacionarlos a los procesos de cambio global en los bosques tropicales, promover el acceso abierto y también poder tener acceso en tiempo real de este tipo de información que se va generando y promover más allá iniciativas que puedan interrelacionar este tipo de bases de una manera mucho más participativa y sobre todo en términos de todo lo que hemos hablado anteriormente, puede ser actividades ilegales, pueden ser procesos biológicos y pueden ser también procesos económicos. La siguiente. Bien, con esto quería poner fin a estas 10 acciones urgentes que tenemos y que envuelven esta convocatoria. Le paso el micrófono a Carolina Costa de FAPESPI, quien nos va a hablar un poquito sobre este CRA de Tropical Forest. Adelante, Carolina.
Gracias, Omar. Voy a hablar en inglés, entonces tienen un minuto para cambiar el idioma. Okay, so thank you, Omar and Anna, for the introduction. My name is Carolina Costa, and I work at the São Paulo Research Foundation from Brazil. So my Spanish is really bad, and I won't be speaking in Portuguese, so apologies for speaking in English. I will talk about the general rules of the call for proposals, and after I talk, we will give the words to the other funders who are participating in this call for them to give specific rules for their countries. So next slide, please. So Omar presented the scientific scope of the call, but each research proposal must have at least 2 of the 3 themes for this call. The first theme is reduce deforestation, sustainable development, and locally led economy. The second is ecosystem function, connectivity, and climate change science. And the third is environmental justice and governance. We expect that every proposal has one of these themes as the main subject and touches on the second theme. It doesn't have to be equally, they don't have to be equally balanced. So at least 2 themes, but could also be the 3 themes, but at least one of them in more depth. Next slide, Jonathan, please. So the funders for this call are listed here on this slide. FAPESP is the research foundation from the state of São Paulo in Brazil. And just to clarify, Brazil has a very complex research funding system. And for this reason, we don't have a national agency involved in this call, but we have funding agencies from different states in Brazil. These funding agencies are collectively organized in an initiative called Iniciativa Amazônia Plus 10. And the funding agencies from Brazil involved are FAPESP from the state of São Paulo, FAPESC from the Santa Catarina, with apologies for the acronyms. We also have Paraná, Alagoas, Amazonas, Mato Grosso do Sul, Rio de Janeiro, Rondônia, Santa Catarina, and Pará, and Ceará. So all these states have researchers who are eligible for this call. We also have the Research Council of Norway, the Swiss National Science Foundation, the Fund for Research from Ivory Coast, the NSF for the United States, NSFC for China, JST for Japan, ANR for France. So each proposal must have researchers, and of course, I'm sorry, IAI, who will fund researchers from the countries of Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Guatemala, Jamaica, Mexico, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, or Uruguay. So each proposal has to have at least 3 researchers who will ask for funding for 3 different organizations, and they must be from different countries. So this means that we would not accept a proposal, for example, with 3 Brazilians from 3 different states. So we expect to have different countries involved in the call. We would also not accept, for example, researchers from 3 different countries funded by IAI. We would expect to have 1 researcher from, so at least 3 funding agencies involved per proposal for different countries. Next slide, please. So the application for this call is a two-step application process. The call was opened officially on the 14th of June. And we will ask for a pre-proposal, which is a very a summarized version of the project by November 12th. After that, we will analyze the pre-proposals and inform the researchers who are invited to submit a full proposal. So there is already a pre-selection process. And the full proposals are due on 30 May next year, 2025. We will run the panel for evaluation of the proposals and distribute. And after the panel evaluates the merit of the proposals, we will distribute amongst the funding available between the funding agencies involved in the call. And we plan on giving the answer to the researchers by July, so that by more or less by September, the projects will be starting, will be funding. Okay, so we plan to announce before September so that the projects should plan to begin by September. The next slide, please. So this call is multilingual. This means that we are accepting applications in either English, Spanish, French, or Portuguese. This is the first time that the Belmont Forum organizes this kind of so this is the first time that the Belmont Forum organizes the multilingual call. There's also another call open at the moment, the Africa Regional Call, which is also accepting multilingual applications, and I'll explain how this is going to work. The researcher group can send their applications in either of these 4 languages, but the panel with the experts who will analyze the proposals will be run in English, because that's the most common language for all the researchers. So this means that the proposals that are submitted in Spanish, French, and Portuguese will be translated in an artificial intelligence tool that is privately contracted. So it's not going to be launched in the website of ChatGPT or anything like that. It's going to be translated in-house in confidential matter. And the English version of the proposal will be sent back to the researchers so that they can, accept, make any changes in how they see the translation. If they don't like the quality of the translation, they can make any suggested changes. After they say, okay, this is the final version of our proposal in English, this is the proposal. Each proposal will be read by 3 members of the panel for evaluation of proposals. And we guarantee that at least one of the members of the panel will read the proposal in its original language. So if you submit it in French, we'll make sure that one of the reviewers will be native in French and will read your proposal in the original language. But the other 2 might have to read it in English, and the discussions will be done in English. So please feel free to we hope to get proposals from different languages. This is the first time that we do this, and we are very keen to see how this goes. So we will be accepting proposals in any of these languages. So next slide, please. So this is more information on the Forest CRA. This is the website that we also, I also included this link on the chat. And I will go now, give the word to my colleagues from the different funding agencies who are involved in this call. And the first one would be IAI, and I give the word to Omar Lopez for him to present the specific rules of funding for IAI. And perhaps, Jonathan, maybe I can share the screen so I can show the annexes for each funder at the moment. Is that okay? Okay.
Hello.
So can you see my screen with the website of the Belmont Forum?
Yes.
Okay. So I will open.
Where's EIE? Okay. Down. There we go. So basically, the EIE will be, there's some questions related to this in the chat. Perdón, voy a cambiar a español. Disculpen por la traducción. Estaba en español. El IAI apoyará investigadores o proyectos por 3 años que, bueno, con el potencial de que pueda haber un año sin costo de extensión, ¿no? Y los países que el IAI estaría apoyando son, como pueden ver aquí, Argentina, Bolivia, Brasil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, República Dominicana, Ecuador, Guatemala, Jamaica, México, Panamá, Paraguay, Perú y Uruguay. Entonces, la participación de cada uno de estos países estará basado en la localización de la institución que hospeda al PI o al co-PI, o al investigador principal o al coinvestigador principal que está requiriendo los fondos desde el IAI. Otra ¿puedes bajarlo un poco? Ya, thank you. Ahí. Las instituciones que son elegibles por el IAI pueden ser universidades, pueden ser asociaciones profesionales, pueden ser organizaciones sin fines de lucro, ONGs, pueden ser instituciones gubernamentales, las cuales tengan un programa de investigación formalizado. Los subawards son también dados a estas organizaciones y pueden ser o esperamos que puedan aplicar investigadores o investigadoras de carrera temprana o de media carrera para que sean responsables de estos proyectos. Los PI y los co-PI pueden ser cualquier investigador, ya sea de las ciencias naturales o experimentales o de las ciencias sociales, o puede ser también un stakeholder, o sea, puede ser un miembro de una sociedad civil o de una comunidad local. Todos están elegibles para poder ser PI o co-PI, ¿verdad? Y por eso se admiten también las organizaciones no gubernamentales. O sea, esto va en sincronía con eso. Sobre las estipulaciones del número máximo de investigaciones que pueden haber en cada uno de los grupos, en los consorcios. No hay un máximo de números de investigadores. Recuerden que ustedes tienen que también buscar asociarse con investigadores de otros países para poder cumplir con la regla de 3 que habló Ana al inicio, ¿no? El tipo de contribución y la cantidad de la contribución. Desde el IAI, los recursos que van a ser ofertados están entre 100,000 a 300,000 dólares por proyecto. Y nosotros desde el IAI anticipamos por lo menos financiar 5 proyectos. ¿Puedes bajar? Ajá. Ahí. Sí, el budget máximo que requiere el IAI por proyecto o por consorcio no debe exceder los 300,000 dólares, incluyendo los costos administrativos, ¿no? Los consorcios que incluyen los consorcios que incluyen un solo país elegible pueden aplicar por 100,000 dólares. Los consorcios que aplican para 2 países elegibles pueden aplicar por 200 y los consorcios que incluyen 3 o más países, entonces pueden aplicar hasta 300. Entonces, lo que quiere decir es que ese máximo va a depender de cómo se arma el consorcio de investigadores, ¿no? Más abajo. Sobre los gastos de uso o las restricciones para el uso de los fondos, los fondos pueden ser utilizados para los costos relacionados a los proyectos, para apoyar la investigación principalmente, el manejo de datos, viajes, talleres, capacitaciones, la comunicación y diseminación de los resultados, todos esos costos, y también puede ser para atraer nuevos investigadores a que participen dentro de los consorcios, ¿no? Como puede ser como scholarship para algunos nuevos investigadores. El IAI los fondos del IAI no están disponibles para reemplazar los salarios de ninguno de los investigadores. Em, Tampoco puede ser usado, perdón, o puede ser usado para la participación de los diferentes miembros de los diferentes stakeholders, o sea, de diferentes actores. Eso sí puede ser utilizado. Los gastos son limitados al 10% del total del proyecto para el uso de equipos o de software. No se contempla el gasto el overhead o de gastos por administración, pero los gastos administrativos pueden ser cargados hasta 7% para el manejo, ¿verdad? Del proyecto. ¿Qué más? Aquí. A ver, si el investigador líder del consorcio es de un país elegible del IAI, esta persona será considerada para el IAI el PI. Entonces, em, si el consorcio es seleccionado para financiamiento, el IAI y el PI van a firmar un acuerdo, ¿no? Un contrato, y debe indicarse en ese contrato cuáles son las responsabilidades con respecto al manejo del grant. Eso es importante que lo sepan. Un representante de los programas, un programa, perdón, un representativo de los programas financiados o de la oficina. Generalmente hay una oficina de programas de Sponsor Project en las diferentes instituciones. Debe mandar a un contacto del IAI para notificar el request de los funding antes de la sumisión del CRA de deadline. O sea, debe haber una notificación oficial por parte de la institución sobre el requerimiento de estos fondos antes de la sumisión del deadline del CRA, antes de enviar la propuesta. Todos los aplicantes deben alinearse con las políticas que el IAI implementa con su plan estratégico de ciencia. Y tenemos varias políticas sobre, por ejemplo, la inclusión, de equidad, diversidad e inclusión. También tenemos más arriba un poquito para mostrar los links de las diferentes políticas. Aquí, política de data, ¿verdad? De data abierta, el gender equity, diversity, los conflictos de interés. Deben leerse estas políticas en la preparación de sus propuestas. ¿Dónde someter la propuesta? Pues tenemos la plataforma del Belmont Forum. Es una plataforma única donde ustedes deben meter sus propuestas. Esta llamada para los grants está basada en la expectativa de cofinanciamiento para que los recursos necesarios no solamente vengan del IAI. ¿Qué quiere decir esto? ¿Qué quiere decir? Que el co-funding es un factor importante en el éxito de los proyectos también. O sea, el IAI va a financiar una parte, pero por ejemplo, si hay entes financiadoras de sus países o de sus estados, estos entes también pueden cofinanciar el proyecto. Entonces, de esta manera, no solamente tienen fondos del IAI, sino que pueden obtener fondos de diversos actores, de diversos entes financiadores.
Omar,
Sí.
sorry, just be careful with the time because we have other funders to
Yeah,
present.
I'm probably fine with that. Okay. Quizás, sí, quizás podemos seguir con el with the agenda, Caroline.
Okay, I think I do need to make a correction when sorry, time to switch the language. So when I first spoke, I said that we would not accept one proposal with only IAI funding, but IAI does accept more
Yes.
than different countries asking for funding. So I will now present the annex for the São Paulo Research Foundation. So the research funding agency, for the researchers from the state of São Paulo. Sorry. Okay, so here is São Paulo. So all proposals for all funders should take up to 3 years of duration. And for the state of São Paulo, we are, as São Paulo researchers know, we have different funding mechanisms. And for this call for proposals, we are using the funding mechanism that is known as regular research grant, with some particularities for this call. So all the requirements are for the same as the regular research grant, and basically for FAPESP, we can only fund researchers who are connected to a funding to a research or higher education institution located in the state of São Paulo. So all the funding that we give must be to researchers in the team in the state of São Paulo. We cannot fund researchers from other countries or other states. We are, the total budget allowed for each proposal is 600,000 reais. And we will be funding up to 10 proposals in this call. And the usual conditions for the FAPESP research grants applies. We are not, with this one difference, that in this call, we are not funding equipment, large equipment and software licenses. We strongly encourage researchers from the state of São Paulo to include a postdoc or a PhD student in this call. So everything that is usually eligible in the research award, which includes the scholarships for PhD and postdocs and technical training, is allowed in this call. And I think that's basically it. My email is at the end of this annex for São Paulo. Please reach out if you have any questions, and we also answer questions after the session. Okay, so I will now pass the word to Andrea Paz from FAPEAM. Okay.
Isso.
Andrea.
Obrigada, Carolina. Eu vou compartilhar minha tela. A gente preparou... você tem como permitir que eu compartilhe a minha tela, Carolina? Já que a gente não consegue...
Desculpa, Jonathan, can you please allow Andrea to share her screen, please? Make her co-host.
Yeah, it is a co-host now.
Thank you.
Obrigada. Nós preparamos uma apresentação para ficar melhor de disponibilizar as informações. Vocês conseguem me ouvir, né? Hoje, eu me chamo Andrea, eu faço parte da Cooperação Internacional da FAPEAM e eu estou representando a diretora técnico-científica, a professora Marcirene, que não pôde comparecer a essa reunião por estar participando de uma reunião do Comitê de Enfrentamento à Estiagem aqui no estado do Amazonas. Apresentando os anexos relacionados ao Fórum Belmont da FAPEAM, as propostas elas terão a duração de até 36 meses. O estado do Amazonas, aqui no Brasil, é o país ou região de apoio nessa chamada. Quanto às estipulações relativas ao número máximo de pesquisadores, Apenas um pesquisador amazonense por proposta será contemplado, né? Pode participar dos recursos, pode receber os recursos. Outros pesquisadores, eles também podem fazer parte da equipe executora do projeto, porém como membros. Quanto às descrições ou qualificações dos participantes elegíveis, para os proponentes, eles precisam ser brasileiros ou, quando estrangeiros, eles devem possuir visto permanente. Devem ser residentes no estado do Amazonas, ter um vínculo formal com uma instituição de pesquisa ou de ensino superior, centro de pesquisa público ou privado sem fins lucrativos, com sede ou unidade permanente aqui no estado do Amazonas, por um prazo superior à vigência do projeto, ter a anuência do dirigente máximo da instituição de vínculo do proponente ou representante legal junto à FAPEAM, comprovando ali um vínculo por um período maior do que a vigência do projeto na instituição de execução.
Desculpe, Andréia, só um minuto. Os tradutores pediram para falar um pouquinho mais devagar, por favor.
Tudo bem, sem problema. Quanto aos critérios da instituição, a instituição ela deve estar localizada aqui no estado do Amazonas e se enquadrar em um dos seguintes perfis abaixo. Primeiro, ser uma instituição de pesquisa e ou ensino superior, pública ou privada e sem fins lucrativos. Ou também, né, ser uma instituição ou centro de pesquisa científico, tecnológico ou de inovação, público ou privado, também sem fins lucrativos. Outros critérios, eles também podem ser exigidos no momento da submissão da proposta aqui na FAPEAM. Mais informações, elas estão disponíveis nas diretrizes específicas da chamada no site da FAPEAM. Aqui na imagem a gente tem o site da FAPEAM, onde é possível acessar a chamada na aba Serviços, através dos editais em vigência. O documento ele está disponível para download em PDF para maiores informações referentes a essa chamada. Quanto ao tipo e valor da contribuição em reais, o valor global da chamada é de até R$600 mil para despesas com capital, custeio e bolsas. O valor máximo a ser solicitado por projeto ou pesquisador estima-se apoiar até 3 propostas de até R$200 mil cada. E o valor dos recursos solicitados, eles podem abranger auxílio pesquisa para capital e custeio, uma bolsa na modalidade de apoio técnico e uma bolsa na modalidade de desenvolvimento científico e tecnológico. É importante lembrar para essa chamada que não há obrigatoriedade na solicitação de bolsas. No entanto, quando as bolsas forem solicitadas, elas devem englobar o valor do recurso solicitado para o projeto. Quanto às restrições à utilização dos recursos, os detalhes relativos às condições e restrições orçamentárias também estão disponíveis na chamada, disponíveis ali no item 8, itens financiáveis e não financiáveis. Não existe para essa chamada um tema específico de preferência. As chamadas, como vimos, as propostas elas podem ser submetidas diretamente no site do Fórum Belmont. Posteriormente, após a divulgação, né, do resultado, o candidato parceiro sediado aqui no Amazonas deve submeter uma proposta paralela através da plataforma online do SIG-FAPEAM, aqui da FAPEAM. Aqui em tela a gente tem o SIG-FAPEAM, onde é possível realizar um cadastro brevemente e as propostas elas devem ser inseridas nesse sistema da FAPEAM. Os detalhes para a submissão da proposta completa, eles estão disponíveis no item 7 da chamada, apresentação e envio das propostas via SIG-FAPEAM. Como informações adicionais, a gente destaca que os pesquisadores parceiros de um consórcio sediado aqui no Amazonas, eles devem seguir as orientações específicas mencionadas anteriormente, sob pena de prejudicar todo o consórcio. A proposta principal do consórcio deve ser incluída na proposta enviada à FAPEAM e documentos adicionais eles serão solicitados no momento da submissão no SIG-FAPEAM. Sintam-se à vontade para entrar em contato com a FAPEAM a qualquer momento, através do e-mail do Departamento de Análise de Projetos, o DAP, que é dap@fapeam.am.gov.br. Muito obrigada.
Obrigada, Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. So So can you please stop sharing the screen? And the next presentation will be by Eliane from Araucária. Sorry. Jonathan, can you? Yes, thanks. Eliane from Araucária, can you start your video? Você quer que eu mostre o anexo ou você quer mostrar a sua tela?
Eu elaborei os slides bem objetivamente, Carol, então acho que a gente pode compartilhar.
Ok. Você pode compartilhar a tela e o vídeo, por favor.
Primeiro. Ele passa em slides? Ok. Ok, so may I start, Carol?
A gente está vendo a visão de apoio dos slides, mas dá para ver também, não tem problema. Mas não está na visão completa do slide.
Veja se você consegue mudar. Try.
Mas tudo bem, tá muito visível, não tem.
Visível?
Tá,
okay.
Não tem problema.
So thank you all. So I'm Eliane Segatti Rios. I'm the international advisor for strategic projects at Araucária Foundation. Araucária Foundation is a funding agency for science, technology, and innovation in Paraná State, Brazil. And not different from the other funding agencies that have already presented here, we're going to follow the general rules of the call, and I'm going just to highlight some specification of the fundings from Araucária Foundation. Okay, so the duration of the project is up to 3 years, as all the ones that have already mentioned here. Araucária Foundation will fund just institutions from Paraná State, so just higher education institutions from and researchers based in Paraná State in Brazil. And the qualifications of the eligible participants will follow the general rules of the call. We will also accept only one applicant researcher per proposal in the consortium, but we welcome the other ones, the other researchers, to be associated, but not the main coordinator of the proposal. And we will support a total of 3 million reais. That is approximately 600,000 reais per proposal. So an average of 5 projects to be supported by us. So the only limitations for the fundings will apply to equipment and software. So we will support scholarships and mobilities for the mobilities of the researchers. There is no specific theme of a preference, so all the themes will be welcome. And when submitting the proposal to the BFGO organization, at the same time, the researcher needs to submit the proposal in our system. So on our webpage, we have the Sparks system, and the proposal needs to be submitted in Portuguese for our foundation. Okay, so additional information could be required by the email internacionalização@fundaçãoaraucaria.org.br. So I'll be the main point of contact. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eliane. So our next speaker is Masatoshi Kimura from Japan JST.
Yes, Okay. And good morning and good evening, everyone. My name is Matsutoshi Kimura, and I'm from Japan Science and Technology Agency. I would like to explain a few key points about JST National Annex for this CRA. JST expects to support successful projects for 3 years, so providing research funding. The fund will be totally no more than about 8 million Japanese yen per year. This including indirect costs. To be eligible for JST funding, the researcher must be an independent researcher affiliated with domestic Japanese research institutions without regard to nationality. A more precise definition of what the Japanese research institution means is explained in detail by guidelines provided by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology. Importantly, all researchers applying for funding from JST will need to register their application on the cross-ministerial R&D management system, this system called the ELAR system, before the first call proposal deadline. A failure to do this will make the researcher ineligible for funding by JST. Also, Japanese applicants must complete a research ethics training course and report the completion of the course to JST after being funded. We are looking forward to your application. This is the end of JST's explanation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Masatoshi. The next speaker is Ida Jensen from Norway.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yes. Okay, perfect. The other day, people couldn't hear me. So I'll present. Could I maybe share my annex? Or could you, Carolina, could you share the annex? Maybe that's easier. From Norway? Or can you make me a presenter and I can share it? Thank you so much. All right, so the RCN can support coordinators and partners from Norwegian institutions and also from LLMix. And the first, I'd like to revise just a little bit the annex, if we can do it afterwards, but we have written, we do not fund partners from upper middle income countries, but we recently decided that we can actually fund from upper middle income countries such as Brazil as well. So we'll remove that, and then we can fund Norwegian institutions and then also all of the countries on the DAC list. And then we have 10 million Norwegian kroner, which is approximately 870,000 euros in total. And we will fund up to 290,000 euros per proposal, or 3.3 million Norwegian crowns per proposal. You can find a list of all the eligible costs in the link attached there. And then if your project is funded, then you have to also register the project in our, first you register in BFGO, of course, and then if you're funded, then you have to register it in the Norwegian database as well. And then you have to follow all the RCN rules, both when it comes to costs and reporting. I guess that's actually the most important parts. Also, if 2 or more Norwegian legal entities want to participate in the same proposal, then it's best if you align as one Norwegian partner. Yep, I think that was it. Short and sweet.
Thank you, Ida, so much. Arthur, you are the next one from Switzerland. Would you like to present your own screen, or would you like to use mine? We can't hear you.
I'd like to share my screen if possible. and
Yes.
I don't have the right now. But
Jonathan, can you please make Arthur
yes,
co-host? Go ahead.
do you see my screen now? Oh, now.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, for the Swiss National Science Foundation, for the eligibility, we apply the condition of the project funding. It's a kind of instrument that we have, the biggest instrument that we have. So the PI must have a PhD, 4 years of research after PhD. He or she must be scientifically independent. Usually, if you have a post of senior researcher or higher, you are considered automatically scientifically independent, but we still check that. And you must be working at a Swiss eligible institution for the project, for the whole project duration. So in principle, for profit companies are not eligible. We have a list of eligible institution. It's best to send an email to check if your institution is eligible. But of course, if you work in a cantonal university, you have no problem there. And you have one Swiss PI per consortium. The funding is for 3 years project, and you have an amount of 300,000 per project. So it's Swiss franc here, Swiss francs, but Swiss francs and euros are pretty the same actually. They have the same value, so it's around 300,000 euros. But of course, in our system, we just count. You just have to add your budget in Swiss francs. But yeah, we can found 4 projects, and the eligible costs are pretty standard. So it's the salaries of the employees. You cannot request your own salary, and it's material costs, conferences, travel, and etc. For the submission, the pre-proposals, it's only on the PFCO system for the Swiss PI. So we don't ask the Swiss PI to submit a pre-proposal on our system, but for the full proposals, it is going to be on both systems. So PFCO and our system, my SNF. That's it. I wonder, because I may have to leave, I wonder if maybe Carolina, if there is any question from the public, I can maybe answer them now. Or
Yeah, sure. Does anyone have any questions on specific for Switzerland? I
and
still
I
have
can
one.
be, yeah, I can be
still-
reached, of course, to my address is in the annex. So thank you. I think it's
Yeah.
it's good so far. So I think I'm gonna leave the meeting if it's okay. And of course, I'm joining. You can join me by email or phone. You have the information on
Yes.
the annex. Thanks.
Thank you, Arthur. So now I'm here asking if there are any other funders who have joined the call but had not told me in advance who would like to present their annex. Okay, I don't think so. If not, Jonathan, could you please play the video for ANR? So the French colleague could not join this webinar, but he sent a video explaining his annex for the French researchers.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Johan Muller and I'm representing the French National Research Agency, ANR, in this CRA. So first of all, my apologies for not being present at this meeting, but you can reach me if any question by email. So I will give you a quick overview of the procedures for French
Sorry,
applications.
Jonathan, is there a way to increase the volume of the audio? It's very low.
Sorry, is the volume is at maximum, so I don't know if. Let me see if you can hear.
Yeah, this short video.
Is better now?
Yes, a little bit better.
I would like to remind you that it's essential for French applicants to read carefully before submitting a proposal. First, the text of the call for project, the document, modalité de participation pour les partenaires sollicitant une aide à l'ANR, available on the web page dedicated to the CRA on the ANS website, and the regulations governing the terms and conditions of ANR grants. You will find there all information and regulation to be eligible to the ANS funding, and if any question, you can send me this once by email as well. However, and in broad terms, you can note the following main specificities for ANR. So ANR can fund French project partners or coordinators involved in 3-year projects. ANR's funding can be requested for research addressing any of the 3 areas of this call. The maximum amount that can be requested from ANR is 280,000 euros per project. The program One for Us Vision initiative has points of convergence with the present call. So the project partners already funded in this context are therefore strongly encouraged to use their own funds to participate in projects submitted to this Belmont Forum action. Some types of consortia requiring ANR funding could have to sign a consortium agreement with their project partners. So please consider the ANR funding regulations for more details. French applicants for ANR funding are responsible for ensuring that their organization complies with intellectual property rights requirement as well. The members of each consortium will enter into any necessary agreements on intellectual property rights before the start of projects. Some countries are not subject to the same regulations regarding personal data protection, intellectual property, and business secrecy. In countries where the European Commission has not issued an adequacy decision on personal data protection, standard contractual clauses must be drawn up. And finally, to be eligible, a proposal must not be deemed similar to another proposal still undergoing evaluation in another ANR call or already funded. Once again, please read carefully the ANS documentation and don't hesitate to send me by email a question related to the ANS funding. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all the funders who have presented their annexes and their specific rules for their countries. We have received a lot of questions here on the chat and have been trying to reply to them. But please, the researchers who are in this call who haven't sent any questions, would you like please to send your questions via chat or just turn on your video, raise your hand and ask the question here.
And we know that usually the trickiest part is trying to sort of understand how the Belmont Forum funding mechanism works. So please ask questions. I believe Nicole Arbor is with us as well. She was going to connect. She's the executive director of the Belmont Forum, but we are here to answer any questions. There's Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Do you want to give a brief welcome, Nicole, since you weren't here at the beginning?
Just quickly, hello, everybody. My apologies for not being with you at the beginning. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. I'm super excited to see such a lovely group with us today, and I'm hoping that you are all preparing some amazing proposals to be added into this call for consideration. So thank you very much.
So please feel free to add your questions to the chat or raise your hand. I'm sure if you have questions, others also have questions. And we will also add in the chat our contact information to follow up with questions. And above, I added the links to the call text. There you will see in detail the sort of scientific themes and the focus. So if you have questions about the scientific themes, please look at the call text, which is available in English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish, also on the Belmont Forum website.
So I have a question for Ida and for Anna and Omar. So we are all funding researchers from Brazil, and just wanted to check. Ida, would you fund researchers from any states, or would you direct the funding for the states that are not eligible for this call for proposals? So I understand that there needs to be a Norwegian researcher involved, plus you can co-fund someone from Brazil. But would you clarify?
Yes, that's exactly right. So it has to be someone from Norway as well. So we're a Norwegian institution, and then basically any of the countries from the ODA DAC lists. And that's why I had to specify that because at first it said that we can fund partners from low and lower middle income countries, but only the least developed countries and low income countries and lower middle income countries, but not upper middle income countries. But now we've decided that we can fund any country on the DAC list.
Okay, so
I can put it in the chat, the DAC list, because actually in the it's not that easy to find in the annex. So I'll put it in the chat. So any of these countries, yeah.
So just to clarify, for each proposal, we are expected 3 funding agencies to be involved. Mm-hmm. So for the proposals that have Norway and a Brazilian, for example, researcher or any other country involved in the proposal, we would still expect 2 more funding agencies to be involved. Correct? So we expect it would be 4 researchers. Yeah.
No, because I think we will just follow the general rules with the 3 funders. So it won't be like 1 extra.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So it's we still expect every proposal to involve 3 funders, at least 3 funders. Could be more. More are very welcome. So at least 3 funders. So this means that there would be a researcher asking, for example, someone asks funding for NSF. Someone also asks funding for example, for FAPESP from the state of São Paulo. And Norway, someone from Indonesia and someone from Norway would ask. So we would have 4 researchers from 4 different countries, but 3 funding agencies involved in the call.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's okay. Thank you. Nicole?
I was just going to sort of clarify that the 333 is really the minimum, right? So you could have 4 researchers, but you still need to have 3 funding agencies. So if I funded, I think in the annex, if I remember, and Anna and Omar correct me, they can fund 3 different researchers from 3 different countries in the Americas in one project, I think is the way it was written. But they would still need 2 more funders. So to have the 3 different funders, you would, even though you could have 3 from the same, 3 funded under the same annex, you still need 2 other annexes to be included. So it's really the minimum, the 333.
Hey, Nicole, there's a question from Louise about if a single PI can request funding from more than 1 funder. And then
I was also writing up that answer.
Sandra was saying that are the 4 researchers from different institutions? So I can maybe address that last one, Sandra. Usually these are like research groups or like a PI and their team who are, we would have, again, the 3 different profiles. So I'll give you one example. Maybe we would have a team looking at, let's say, carbon cycles and carbon markets and working with indigenous communities in the Amazon and Colombia. So maybe there's one team which is based in Colombia, which is more focused on the local community level, and they have the non-academic partners and social scientists, and they're funded by II. Another part of the team could be looking at the economic analyses and coupling that with, let's say, carbon cycling, and they may be based at a university in the US and funded by NSF. And then a third part of the team may be looking at another aspect of the project, and they could be based at, in Sao Paulo and funded by FAPESC. So that would give you the 3 countries. You would have Brazil, Colombia, and the US, 3 different types of partners on the project and 3 different funding agencies.
Thank you. So Professor Dennis Toys, would you like to ask your question?
Sí, gracias. En parte me contestaron por chat. Mi pregunta era cuál era el rol de la institución en donde trabaja el investigador, dado que el contrato será firmado entre el PI y la entidad financiera. Creo que la institución va a estar directamente involucrada, que también va a firmar. Tengo entendido, ¿no?
¿Puede decir en qué país que está?
Estoy en la Amazonía peruana, Iquitos.
Okay. Ana, would you answer that? I think it would be
¿Puedes repetir la pregunta? No entendí otra vez, por favor.
¿Cuál es el rol de la institución al cual pertenece el investigador?
El rol, la institución tiene que firmar el contrato. Entonces, la institución es responsable por asegurar el manejo de los fondos. La institución tiene, al final, es el responsable, porque firmamos el convenio con el PI, pero también con los responsables financieros de la institución. Entonces, ellos firman el contrato, reciben los fondos, gestionan los fondos, aseguran que se cumplen con todos los requisitos y las políticas, por ejemplo, de datos abiertos, de ciencia abierta, temas éticas, de cumplimiento del proyecto, y tendrían que también manejar los subcontratos en el caso de que haya. Por ejemplo, si Perú recibe financiamiento del IAI, pero después tienen socios en Bolivia y en Ecuador y tiene subcontratos, la institución en Perú tendría que ejecutar los subcontratos, firmar los subcontratos, enviar los fondos y al final del día mandar al IAI anualmente reportes financieros, y el PI también tiene que mandar un reporte técnico.
Okay, gracias, porque había entendido que solamente firmaba el PI con la entidad financiera. Gracias.
Sí, no es solo el PI, es el PI y también el responsable de la institución.
Gracias por aclarar, Ana. Sí, yo creo que solamente dije que firmaba el PI, pero también firma la institución como corresponsable, ¿no? Los dos.
So I'm answering one question from Professor Aragão in the chat, asking if one Brazilian scientist can request funding for different funders who are funding Brazil. So just to clarify, in the case of Norway, there needs to be a Norwegian researcher involved. Norway would not fund another country. They would fund a researcher based in Norway plus another country. So that's one option. But no, we would not allow for the same PI to receive funding for these different organizations. There's nothing that stops you from having different Brazilians in the group and they receiving the funding from the funding agencies. If you have the minimum of 3 funders involved for 3 different countries involved. So in this example that you put here, you have one Brazilian scientist requesting funding from FAPESP, an American asking for an SF, and a Swiss from the Swiss Foundation. You would need to have one Norwegian asking for Norway, and then a different Brazilian asking for the separate funding from Norway to Brazil. It could not be the same person. It could be different Brazilians, but not the same PI. They're very ambitious, ask that question. Okay, I think we have replied all the questions in the chat. Okay, one more. Should the proposal be focused strictly in tropical forests? Subtropical forests like Araucaria are also acceptable. Would you answer this one, Omar? Or Anna?
I can jump in and then pass to Omar. Please, please, please read very carefully the call text because this is described in the call text. The goal is that the focus should be on tropical forests, but we are very interested in how tropical forests are interconnected with, affected by, and affect systems worldwide. So for example, projects that are looking at interrelation between tropical forests and other systems, be it terrestrial or marine or aquatic, those are very much welcome. Omar, please go ahead.
No, I think I answered this question in the chat. I think it needs to look for the interrelationship between the subtropical forests and tropical forests. So how are they linked to tropical forests? So maybe looking for a partner that is also conducting something on the tropical forest and how they're interrelated. For example, habitat expansion of large mammals or cats, for example, there might be significant role that they play. At least somebody that asked about the Chaco, for example.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Mais alguma pergunta? Yeah, I think those are all the questions that we have. Please use the emails available in the call for any other questions. Nicole, would you like to close this event?
I can if I am not too echoey because I'm in a very empty room. So I'd just like to thank everybody for the time that you've taken to join us here today. I'd like to encourage you to, if you think of additional questions, to address those questions either to the people who are identified in specific annexes, or you can also reach out to info@belmontforum.com and we will respond to your questions. And I look forward to seeing a huge number of very interesting proposals that come into this call. We're very excited to see this as one of the first 2 Belmont Forum calls that will be accepting proposals in multiple languages. I look forward to seeing what comes in. So thank you everybody for all of your work, for all of your time. Thank you to our funders for participating and supporting these conversations. And I look forward to interacting with all of you in the future. I think with that, we get to all say goodbye. Have a